Ladies and gentlemen, when you have completed the Knife Skills Poultry Fabrication portion of the competition, you will be allowed to sanitize your station. You will be allowed to put down tablecloths, take your equipment back and clean it up. But as you can see, when you put your tablecloths on, you will have to have a team member on the judge's side of the table. That is all right at that point. You also are going to place your claws in this manner. They will cover the table drape. That's the intention. You will have a team card that is on the front of the table. You need to ensure that you move that to the front of your tablecloth. At this point, you've sanitized your station. You have put your claws on. Now you stop until the timer tells you that you can begin production preset. When you go into what's termed production preset, your station is going to be brought by you to the point where you are ready to do the production of your products. What you can do at that point is a placement of equipment. You can place out ingredients. You cannot slice, dice, or prep items. At that point, you can go to the designated locations for ice, for water. You can leave and go to the bathroom. You can do all of those things during that 20 minutes that you have, but you do have to work efficiently. Now, as you can see, we have set up some examples on equipment. Please understand that these are just meant as that, examples, suggestions. You will come up with your own particular fashion in which to set your station that works best for your team, your menu, and how you're going to progress through the competition. But things that we do want you to remember: you should keep your workspaces uncluttered as possible. And we'll talk about where the rest of your equipment is in a minute. But the more uncluttered it is, the easier it is for you to be able to do the work that you need to be able to do. You are allowed to use things such as an electric timer. You are not allowed to use, in general, electric equipment, and you need to remember that. You do have to have a framed copy of your menu for reference by the judges, and of course your attendees, your spectators will also be looking at that. And speaking of spectators, you want to remember that you are constantly on show when you are on this floor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please remember, and we've already talked about this, your defined space that you have to work within. And you have to make the most efficient use of that space, but also remember that you are constantly concerned about safety and sanitation issues, as well as the efficiency of operation. You'll notice we don't have a great deal of equipment out up here. You're going to need a lot more equipment than that to be able to pull off the competition. The remainder of your equipment is underneath the table because you are allowed to use this space. However, note that the container is closed so that we don't have this equipment become contaminated because it's clean from what we are working up above. Also, when we place this, we have to ensure that we don't run it out in front of the table. It has to remain underneath the table. The other thing that we don't want to do is what we have here. This is clean pans on the floor. That's totally inappropriate. These should either be in or at minimum on top and clear under the table where they won't be contaminated. We can put dirties on the floor if need be. We are aware that you have minimized space, but they have to be out of the way so that you don't create a tripping hazard or a problem. You also need to have someplace controlled for dirty product. So we have an open container, we have our clean bucket, we have our sandy bucket. If you've got two sets, you've got one for each table, that's even better, but they are on the floor. They do not become stationed on the table. We don't move items such as our plates over into the work area until we are ready to do the plating. Because here again, we don't want them to become contaminated by the product that we're working. You're working in a small space. You can bring additional racks. You can bring additional cabinetry if you wish on wheels. You cannot, however, place it outside of your defined space. You also can bring a cart, but you cannot use the top of a cart, the top of a cabinet as workspace. Your work surface is the top of the two tables only. You may not expand that work surface by bringing portable units. Also, when it comes to your coolers, one thing that you do have to remember is that this cooler is not a refrigerator in the sense that there is no fan circulating the cold air. So when you take an item out of the unit and you decide that you need to put it back in, you've opened the unit and allowed the cold air to escape. There is no fan to move the air over that ice and create a cold environment on top of that ice again. What you have to do to keep the item cold is to bury it in the ice. Now you're not going to have a problem when the sanitation judges come by to determine whether or not you have properly held your product. There will be trash cans readily available to you on the floor. You really do not want to put garbage and wet waste in with your dirty pots and pans. You'll be better off if you go ahead and take it to the garbage cans that are available to you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important pieces of the competition is when you have created your absolutely wonderful plates and you are now placing them on the tray to go to the judges. This is a crucial point in the competition. Your timers are not allowed to make judgments as to when you are done. You have to make it 100% clear. And how you are going to do that is what Jillian is going to demonstrate. She is placing her plates on the tray and she makes it 100% clear to the timer that we are finished. Please remember that. Make it absolutely clear to your timer that you're done so they can stop your clock, because remember, seconds count.